Hello, dear children. Namaste and welcome to session 4 of our class 9 CBSE chapter Tissues. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this amazing platform of Vedantu. Okay, guys, so today is going to be our last session on this particular chapter, tissues. So I suppose we don't have too much remaining. We are done with plant tissues completely and 50%, like a little more than 50% of animal tissues also. Today, let's discuss the remaining concepts under animal tissues. But before that, as always, here is something motivational for you. Life is tough, but always remember, you are also tough. That is what this means. Life is tough, but so are you. Always have that faith. Always have that belief in yourself that you are capable of doing great things, of attaining great heights, of achieving great things in life. Imagine no limitations and no boundaries at all. Definitely, you will become someone great if you go ahead behind your thoughts, following your thoughts and dreams with full passion and efforts. Okay, so here is the homework question I had given you in the last class, and that is the matrix of bone is made up of dash and dash. Okay, so I have answers here from Tia and Angelina. So both of them have said it is calcium and phosphorus. Thank you so much, Tia, for adding "We love you, ma'am." You know, these tiny little messages keep us going, and it literally is enough to make our day. Be it from our own children or be it from our students, doesn't matter. But when we hear this from children we interact with on a daily basis, it feels great, however simple or complex that comment may be. Thank you so much, Tia and Angelina, and everyone else who's given me the answer to this. So, bone cells, the matrix of bone is made up of calcium and phosphorus. So, remember to always take your share of calcium from your diet. Okay, of course supplements are available these days. I'm just telling you this out of syllabus for your general benefit. Do not neglect dairy products or anything which as part of your family culture has been, you know, part of your daily diet, which is a rich source of calcium. But some good sources of calcium definitely include milk, curd, paneer, all such dairy products, and of course things like food items like ragi. Excellent sources of calcium. Definitely include them in your daily diet, especially because you are still in your growing years. Okay, I think, well, this is my personal belief, at least until the age of 20 to 25 around, or at least think about it till 20. If you take care of your diet and your physical activity, take really good care of it, definitely the rest of your adulthood is going to be a lot simpler than it would have been with an unhealthy diet and less physical activity. Okay, so today let us learn about muscular tissues and nervous tissues. Okay, so here we go. Animal tissue, as we have seen, there are 4 major types, which are connective tissue, epithelial tissue, both of which we've discussed in the last class. Muscle tissue and nervous tissue are what we will be discussing today. I think they are pretty self-explanatory in the sense where you would find them, right, in the muscles and your nerves. That's it. But we'll look at what makes them up and what is special about them and what are the types of them, if at all. But before that, let's quickly recap let's just mention quickly the names of the epithelial tissue types we've seen. Squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium can either be simple squamous, or it can be stratified squamous, wherein simple squamous in places where a very thin simple layer is provided is all that is required so that diffusion of substances can naturally and easily occur. Okay, like in the case of alveolar walls and things like that. Stratified squamous is where additional protection is required, like your skin. That is why we call it stratified, because layered squamous epithelium, because strata literally means layers. And then we have columnar epithelium, which as the image indicates and as the name itself indicates, appears like columns or elongated cells. Ciliated columnar, especially, the unique feature is the presence of cilia, wherein it has to sweep off or dry drive away the movement of certain particles like excess mucus, germs, pathogens, and a lot of others. And then cuboidal epithelium, as the name indicates, the shape is cuboidal shape, which is why it's called cuboidal in the first place. And then we have glandular epithelium, which is a type of modified epithelium, wherein, certain kinds of secretions would occur from glandular epithelium with the help of goblet cells. Okay, and now we come to connective tissues, which are of different types. In fact, every part of your body is connected to each other because of what we call connective tissue, and hence the name connective tissue in the first place. And this is again of different types. As you can see, it is either loose connective tissue or fibrous connective tissue. We talked about adipose tissue, cartilage, bone, blood. Yes, blood and bone, although they are such familiar substances to you. How many of us ever knew that they are types of tissues? Yes, blood is a fluid connective tissue, and bone is a harder connective tissue. Okay, so they are all examples of it, and then we have more examples like areolar connective tissue, adipose tissue, which is involved in fat storage, things like that. Cartilage, which is very similar to bone, but at the same time provides some kind of flexibility, at least, especially when it comes to ends of tips of joints and places like that, like the tip of your nose, your external ear, and things like that, where flexibility is required and a little bit of smoothening is required of the bone. Okay, so this is about the different kinds of connective tissue. Now let's talk about muscular tissue. Of course, the name indicates, it's self-explanatory. It tells you it's all about muscles. Now we know we have muscles in every part of our body. Bones and muscles form the framework of what we are, right? They give us shape and structure. Otherwise, we would just be a loose mass of, just skin and flesh without any shape and rigid structure. So this is what muscular tissue would look like. If you took a section of muscular tissue, this is what it would look like. The most common type of muscle tissue. I'll tell you the types in a while. And muscular tissue consists of elongated cells, which we also call muscle fibers. Okay, they consist of muscle fibers, and these are the names we give to the coverings. Like epimysium is the covering that's given to the entire bundle. A bundle of so many of these groups of muscle fibers. Perimysium is the name given to the covering of one single group of muscle fibers. Okay, so this is just there for your extra bit of information. Yes, and now what makes them special? What gives muscles the ability to contract and relax? Right, of course, contraction and relaxation is what is the major feature of muscles. Muscles contain special proteins which help them in this, and they are actin and myosin. There are also others, but actin and myosin are said to be the most common and the most important types of proteins found in muscular tissues. So we call them contractile proteins. Actin and myosin are types of contractile proteins, and it is because of the movement of actin and myosin that muscle filaments are able to slide over and parallelly to each other. You will learn more about how exactly this works in your higher grades, but for now just understand it is actin and myosin which together play a role in helping them slide over each other. What? Helping them is what? Who? The muscle filaments. This is why sliding filaments. It's mentioned here, sliding filaments. Right? Yes, it is the actin and myosin that play a major role here. Now coming to muscular tissue types. There are three major types of muscle tissue in our body. Some are the types that, act and move according to our wish, like for example biceps muscles, triceps muscles, and all of those, and muscles in your legs, all of those muscles which help you move from one place to another, help you move your hands, help you rotate your neck, and so on. Those are all under voluntary control. If I want to move it, I will move it. I will ensure that it is moved. Voluntary muscles. How do they move? They move because they are closely in contact with the bones of our body, or rather closely in contact with our skeletal system. That is why we give them, the voluntary muscles of our body, the name skeletal muscles. But because of their appearance, just look at them, there are striations. There is a striated, or what exactly are striations? Stripes, to tell you in simple language. Because of the presence of striations, we also call skeletal muscles striated muscles. Okay? Then comes another type of muscle wherein you don't have to do anything. It'll naturally, involuntarily it'll occur. Like for instance, the muscles of your esophagus, the muscles of your stomach, the muscles of your digestive system, all of these, they're just moving according to their own will. You don't have to tell every time you don't have to say to your stomach or intestines every time, okay, move, 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 contract and relax, contract and relax. It's not in your control. You can't do anything to move it or to rest it. It's just happening naturally. When there is relevant need for it, it may increase or decrease in rate. That's a different thing. Like for instance, when you're eating food, your the muscular walls of your esophagus might move a lot more than or faster than how much they would move in an otherwise case, in an other case, right? So likewise, smooth muscles or involuntary muscles, okay? Smooth muscles because they don't have any kinds of striations, unlike skeletal muscles. So we call them smooth muscles, which are involuntary in nature. Then comes one more type of muscle, which is found exclusively in your heart, and that is called cardiac muscle. So you may wonder, why isn't cardiac muscle considered as a type of smooth muscle? There is a reason to that. I will tell you each of these in detail. You will understand it. So cardiac muscles certainly deserve a unique place in our body as compared to all the other skeletal muscles and all the other smooth muscles, because generally, like children and adults also tend to wonder, but cardiac muscles are also involuntary in nature. So why don't we put them under just two categories, voluntary and involuntary? Now, our categorization in biology is not just about their function. It's also with regard to how they would appear, what their features are, right? If it's only with regard to function, of course, there are just two categories, voluntary muscles or involuntary muscles. But now we are talking about three categories, which are skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Okay, let us understand more about them. Let's start with striated muscles or skeletal muscles. Okay, I've told you why they are called skeletal muscles in the first place. As you can see, the appearance, the cells are cylindrical in shape. Individual cells are cylindrical in shape. They are unbranched. Okay, cylindrical and elongated, they are unbranched. And they are voluntary in nature. We've seen that already. It's under our control. They contract rapidly and soon undergo fatigue. This is exactly why after prolonged, physical exercise, especially if you are the kind of person who is not normally so physically active, suddenly one day you decide to run, like join someone on a marathon, a very long marathon, and at the end of the day or even midway through the marathon, you might feel your leg muscles are very tired. You might not be able to run farther. So that is because they are contracting rapidly and have undergone what we call fatigue. They've become tired basically. So striated muscles, this is one feature of them, that they contract rapidly but soon undergo fatigue. Okay, so as I said, skeletal muscles, the reason we call them skeletal muscles and why we call them striated muscles is exactly because of this appearance, the striated appearance. We can see these striations or stripes all over them, right? That is the reason we call them striated muscles. And in fact, there are many nuclei inside one single skeletal muscle cell. We call them multinucleate, or syncytial is another name we use for multinucleate. Okay, so let us move on and understand about smooth muscle. Okay, smooth muscles, as you can see, the cells are cylindrical, more or less cylindrical and elongated. They are unbranched. They are involuntary muscles as compared to skeletal muscles. They contract slowly and they do not undergo fatigue. Okay, because they can't afford to undergo fatigue. That is one thing we have to remember. Imagine like you kept on eating and eating and eating. You're at a party and you keep eating, eating, eating so much. Imagine if your food pipes muscles just tell you stop eating, enough is enough, and it doesn't have the energy to push the food further inward and the food is stuck here. What do you think would be the plight? Thankfully, nature has a smart solution for all of this, and involuntary muscles or smooth muscles in the body are designed in such a manner that they do not undergo fatigue, in contrast to skeletal muscles. So this is about smooth muscles. And then cardiac muscles. Look at the appearance and what does it remind you of? Yes, this is one reason I told you we can't put it under the second category of muscles we've just discussed, because cardiac muscle, in terms of features, it's actually a mix of skeletal and smooth muscles. Because as you can see, it's got striations. But in terms of function, it is involuntary also. So would you put it under skeletal category or would you put it under the smooth category? No, it's better to put them in a separate category because it's, after all, what belongs to the heart. And the heart is one of the most hardworking organs of our body, right since we are formed as a fetus with fully developed organs inside our mother's body until our death, right? It keeps functioning non-stop. So cells of cardiac muscles are cylindrical, they are branched, and they are also involuntary. They are branched is one difference you see in cardiac muscles as compared to striated or skeletal muscles. They also contract rapidly, but they do not undergo fatigue, of course. My goodness, I can't imagine what the plight would have been if cardiac muscles underwent fatigue. So this is a very, very important tissue, as we all know, because, as I said, heart has to keep working non-stop. And that is exactly what keeps us alive. So as you can see, there are striations here. You can see the nucleus here. And this, what you see here, is the junction between adjacent cells. So this is about cardiac muscles. Now, children, from your exam perspective, do remember, to make it easier to remember these concepts, it is best to make a table. Okay, make a table with the first column mentioning the features, maybe like appearance, and the next feature would be the, in appearance, you could probably write whether they are cylindrical or spindle shaped or whatever, write whether they are branched or unbranched, and then the next feature could be whether they are voluntary or involuntary, like functioning. And then maybe about whether or not they contract rapidly, and maybe whether or not they undergo fatigue. All of these, and whether they are uninucleate or multinucleate, whether there are striations or there are no striations, all of these can be mentioned in the table, so that at one glance on the eve of your exam, you can just have a look at it and it will all register in your mind. But then, as I always say, it's important to understand it. Understand why it has to be in a certain manner. Then you will certainly you will not have any reason to memorize it. Okay, so let's take a very quick break and let us answer a few questions. Muscular tissue consists of elongated cells, also called dash. Muscle fibers, epimysium, perimysium, or none of these? And your time is up. The answer is muscle fibers. Yes, we've seen what muscle fibers are, right? That is what makes up muscular tissue. Then chemically, actin and myosin are special dash. Remember, I told you this. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, or nucleic acid. And your time is up. The answer is proteins. Chemically, actin and myosin are proteins, of course, beyond doubt. Then, the cells of dash muscle shows branching. Yes, what do you think? Skeletal, smooth, cardiac, or none of these? And your time is up. The answer is cardiac. The cells of cardiac muscle shows branching. Okay, and yes, that brings us to the end of quiz 1 for the day. Very, very well done if you have got all of these answers correct, because as I understand, this is one portion where plenty of 1-mark questions can be asked. There is a huge scope for plenty of 1-mark questions. If not, you will have to know the difference between smooth, striated, and cardiac muscles. You might have to compare one to the other or something like that. Okay, and before we move on to the next type, which is nervous tissue, I have a few important things to tell you. And that is about the problems that most children face these days when it comes to education. Because schooling, training, hobby classes, everything, Vedantu, everything is happening online. So most children come and tell us that these are the top list of problems that they face. Unanswered doubts, notes, because as I always say, children these days, most children at least these days, take least efforts to make their own notes. You guys want everything ready-made. This is why for many children it becomes a problem. Tests and assignments, competitive exams, choice of schedule, choice of language. So how do you solve this? Not to worry at all, because at Vedantu, we are here to solve all of these problems for you, in addition to giving you plenty of bonuses. And what exactly are they? Unlimited live classes, all micro and crash courses available to you, performance reports, personalized attention, so that it's a complete package. It can help you analyze your weak areas and help you improve as a student and strengthen your weaker areas. So what exactly do you do? To know more about this, just visit the link which is given in the description box below and check out the pinned comment also which is below, and apply the coupon code AMBPRO to get the best benefits that we have out there, the best vouchers or the coupons that we have out there to avail the best discounts basically. So I'll guide you step by step of how you can proceed through this. Choose your grade. First of all, choose your grade. So for you guys, I'm assuming it's going to be class 9. If it's class 10, 11 or 12, choose it accordingly. Okay, choose your grade and then select your target. So it's going to be CBSE 2021 because you're going to be appearing for your final exams of CBSE 9 in 2021 March. That's why select the targets accordingly. Then check out all the details. I've mentioned some of them. There are also a lot more features of Vedantu Pro mentioned out here. Just go through them well in detail and then click on the button that says get subscription. Okay. And then check out the details for 1 month, 3 months and 6 months, because we want to keep everything transparent to you, because this is most often the question that children come up with. How much do courses cost us? Would it be pocket friendly? Would it be budget friendly for us? So for a 1 month of pro subscription, which means for 30 days or for a 1 full month, you will have unlimited access to all of the features that I have told you, that too for all your major subjects together, be it your English, SST, science, that means your physics, chemistry, bio, maths, everything. You get unlimited access to all of these for 1 full month at 2,699. But then currently, because of the ongoing offer that we have, which is application of the coupon code AMBPRO, all you children watching me, listening to me right now, can go ahead and apply this coupon code AMBPRO to reduce the amount payable to 2,159.2. This is for 1 month. What if you want to be tension free for the next 3 months, for roughly like 90 days or so? To just stay with us, stay with Vedantu for 3 full months. That means you get unlimited access to all of these at a price of 6,999 normally. But again, application of the code AMBPRO reduces your amount payable to 5,599.2. This is for 3 months. Okay. Remember to calculate mentally how reasonably priced this is as compared to anything else that you would find in the country, in the world. Okay, and that you must be able to do that calculation, else whatever I'm telling you is not going to help you at all. Okay, and then for a 6 months of subscription would normally cost you 11,499 in the current trend, but then apply the coupon code AMBPRO to reduce it to 9,199.2. So what exactly do you do to understand whether or not this is reasonably priced? There are 2 things I want to tell you, children. One is, of course, the fact that as a parent myself, I understand how education keeps becoming more and more expensive every month, every week, every day. Sometimes I think about it. Everything is becoming more and more expensive. I think this year, 2020, has only made that condition worse, because most kinds of businesses across the world are trying to make up for the loss that they have been facing. But beyond all that, all of us have a common vision. At Vedantu, we all have a common vision, and that is to make education affordable and accessible to all. Why do you think we would come up with so many YouTube channels when we already have so many, courses out there? Basically, because we just want to ensure that we are able to reach out to every single kind of child across the country, every single kind of person, every single kind of child, beyond borders, beyond any kinds of barriers, should be able to access it. The main advantage of these courses, which I have just mentioned, is that they would be a lot more structured as compared to what we give you, what we are able to offer you on YouTube. Of course, on YouTube, we will be able to complete the syllabus. We will be able to give you lectures like what's happening now. We will be able to give you Menti quizzes, maybe a little bit of interaction, live interaction, and all of that. Of course, beyond doubt, we are able to do all of that. But then the thing is, more of a personal connect between teacher and children. One-to-one doubt solving, one-to-one doubt answering, assignments, notes, tests, and whatnot. All of this also is very important when it comes to better improvement. And that is why Vedantu Pro can be an advantage, keeping in mind the quality and making it affordable. So just in case you're still confused, let me tell you the second point I wanted to tell you. That is, just go out and find how many sessions you will be able to avail in the entire 6 months. If you're subscribing for 6 months, how many sessions can you avail in the 6 months? Altogether, how many sessions? Divide this total amount by the total number of sessions. That will give you the per session cost. Just make that calculation and you will understand the meaning of what I've been telling you until now. Okay, so I leave it to you. Rest is your call. Okay, children, now let us get back to what we were discussing, and that is about nervous tissues. Of course, nervous tissue forms a major part of our body, right? Because cells of the nervous tissue are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place, one part of the body to another. If I'm able to talk to you now, my senses are playing a role. If I'm able to look at the slides which are in front of me, my senses are playing a role. My nervous tissues are playing a role. If I'm able to move my hands now, if I'm able to move back my hand, if I have touched something very sharp, that is because my nervous tissues are playing a role there. If you're able to hear me, if you're able to see me now, it's because of your nervous tissues, because they are all coordinating with each other in a highly specialized manner. How exactly do they do this? Of course, it's a very, very interesting mechanism. But today, in this chapter, what we will be interested in understanding is about how the tissues are able to function. The brain, spinal cord, and our nerves are all composed of nervous tissue, which means literally in almost every part of our body, we have nervous tissues. Okay, so these are the major structures you would find as part of the nervous tissue, which means just like any other cell in the body, they also would have the nucleus, neuroclea, and they would have specialized structures called dendrites, cell body like any other cell, axon. What does each of these mean? I will tell you in a bit. But before that, have a look at this. This is how beautifully one single nerve cell conducts messages from one end to its other end. We know they are elongated cells, and we know they are shaped like this for a reason. We know the cells of our body all have different shapes and sizes, basically because that helps them optimize their functioning. It helps them perform their role in the best possible manner. And that's why the cells of nervous tissue are shaped like this, elongated, because they are placed end to end and communicate in the best possible manner when they are shaped and arranged like this. Okay, the cells of one single cell of the nervous tissue is what we call a nerve cell or neuron. Okay, so let's understand more about the parts of a neuron or the regions of a neuron. What you see here at the left end, okay, this end basically is the cell body, okay, which we also call cyton. A special name, we call it cyton. Cell body, just like any other cell in your body, the cell body also has a nucleus. It's got cytoplasm in it. Okay, all of that is there. But as you can see, it's got certain branches. What exactly are they? That is called dendrite. Dendrites or dendrite in singular. What exactly does it do? Dendrites are, dendrite is literally the name given to structures which are branched in biology. Okay, like tree-like branched structures are called dendrites. What exactly do? They in fact are responsible for carrying impulses or messages from the previous neuron. Okay, they receive the nerve impulses from the previous neuron, the preceding neuron, and carry it into the cell body. Okay, and inside the cell body, some kinds of processing of this information would occur, and it's passed on this way into the tail-like structure which you see, and that tail-like structure, this elongated structure, is what we call axon. Okay, and this axon, if you look at it, it is actually, if you observe more about the axon, like look deeper into the axon, you will see that in human beings and many other higher organisms, axon is an elongated simple thread which has a covering, and that covering is what we call myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is these individual yellow colored coverings or coatings which are there to give additional protection to the axon. And you would also observe that the myelin sheath is not continuous. It's, you know, it's got certain breaks or intervals. Why is it so? It's for an important reason. Myelinated neurons actually function most efficiently. Okay, they are able to conduct impulses at a much faster pace as compared to non-myelinated neurons. Okay, and it is because they have these breaks that certain jumps are able to happen between one part of the axon to the next. Okay, you will understand more about it, as I said, as you go to higher grades. So this is how myelin sheath plays an important role. They basically make nerve impulse conduction a lot faster. These are cells which we call Schwann cells because of, remember Schleiden and Schwann, which you must have learned in the chapter cells. So Schwann cell, they're called Schwann cells. And this area, these regions which are in between seen as a break are what we call nodes of Ranvier. Okay, remember, any of your, if you know anybody by the name Ranveer, like Ranveer Singh or anybody like that, just think of them. Okay, this will help you remember easily. But then remember the spelling. Okay, it's Ranveer, Vier. It's not Veer. I just told you so that you would be able to connect better. And then you would also see that at the end of axon, there is another set of branched structures which are called axon terminals. So axon basically is able to conduct impulses away from a neuron, and axon terminals are what carry it out of the axon and push it further into the gap which is between this neuron and the adjacent neuron. This gap, imagine the next neuron is right here, okay, with its structure, with its cell body and with its axon here. There is a small gap. It won't be so much like I have drawn, but for your understanding, I have drawn a bigger gap here. This gap is what we call synapse, the gap between adjacent neurons. Okay, so dendrites carry impulses towards a neuron, axons carry impulses away from the neuron. Impulse is the name we give to the information carried inside a neuron, inside neurons. So this is about the regions of neuron, and they are absolutely important in coordinating everything in our body. Okay, so that brings us to the next quiz time. In fact, the last quick check that we have for this chapter. And here comes our first question. The functional unit of brain is dash. Super easy. All of you must be able to answer this. Nephron, neuron, cistron, or recon. Okay, and your time is up. The answer is neuron. Functional unit of brain is neuron. If I asked you what is the functional unit of the spinal cord, would your answer change? No, it shouldn't change. It has to be neuron as well. Now, neurons are found in dash. Brain, spinal cord, both brain and spinal cord, or none of these. Yes, I've told you the answer already, so let's not wait too long. The answer is both brain and spinal cord, and of course all your nerves also. So very, very well done if you have answered these questions correctly. Of course, we will have a quiz in the sense a Menti quiz plus a doubt session. So just in case there is anything that we have discussed until now that you want me to explain in a little more depth to give you better insights, or if you have any other doubts from this chapter, please feel free to post it in the comment section below so that we will notice it and take it up in the doubts plus Menti session. So let me remind you that you now know about muscular tissue, you now know about nervous tissue also. So here is my question for you today. How does myelin sheath help in the conduction of impulse in neuron? I have told you one base about it. Do your bit of research to understand more about how exactly myelin sheath helps in conduction of impulse in neuron. Okay, so that's about it from my side for today, children. Do remember to visit the link in the description box below. Please go through the pinned comment also in the comment section below, and hit the like button if you have enjoyed the session and found it useful. Please do share it with all your class 9 CBSE friends, because they will also benefit from this. Tissues is one chapter that many children have a problem with. So here we intend to simplify all your concepts, and do remember to subscribe to the channel 9th and 10th English in case you have not done it yet, because as you know, we keep coming up with more and more interesting and interactive sessions, not just to cover your syllabus, but we also make huge efforts to give you things which would help you in studies overall and to improve as a person, because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. How much you know yourself, how well you are able to use your talents, and how well you are able to channelize all your energy towards your dreams. Yes, we are always here to support you. And until we meet again, take care, stay happy and stay healthy. This is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.